Hello coaches, welcome back to another Modern Soccer Coach Breakdown. This week we've got an international one. We're going to look at Thomas Tuchel's 4-3-3 patterns from England against Albania. A couple of interesting things that happened. I read the story about Thomas Tuchel in the press conferences talking about Gareth Southgate, and that England team lack repetition and patterns and also lack creativity going forward and attacking identity. Do you need patterns to have an identity? It's a really interesting topic. But it made me want to look at England versus Albania. So I just watched the tactical cam yesterday and watched the match and looked for, again, deliberate movements in those attacking patterns. The good news was England dominated possession, so there's plenty of opportunities where you can see specific movements and relationships between positions across the pitch and different types of rotation. On the other side of that, it was against a mid-block, low block for most of the game, but again, you get a really good sense of what Thomas Tuchel's trying to create. So I think it's a really good case study for coaches to look at. In this episode, we're going to look at some of the intentions for England, some of the patterns that they're trying to create. Even though it's against a low block, still believe those patterns are really important. So if you enjoy this type of discussion, please make sure you like, please make sure you subscribe. We've got a future podcast coming very soon talking about the definition of tactics and whether patterns have any form of that definition. That is for another day, but that is coming. Please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that one. Here is Thomas Tuchel and England. Enjoy. So here is the quote from Thomas Tuchel on the identity, clarity, rhythm, repetition of patterns, freedom of players. Can you have freedom, expression and patterns in the same system? Well, that is a great football debate that maybe we'll look at a bit closer in the future. Here are some of the patterns and shapes that I think Thomas Tuchel tried to bring out against Albania. He pushed the two wide players, Foden, Rashford, maximum width, used the fullbacks a little bit more in those inside channels. So when you have the full width, the max width from the 7s and 11s, you do look to stretch the opposition back four, the Albania back four. And then I could see, looking at the film, that the priority seemed to be to get those 8s and 10s through those spaces. So when the ball was circulated from right to left, as it was quite a bit, you can do that in a number of ways. You can move Kane off the front line, unbalance the centre backs and get a runner from deep. That looked to be a big priority in the first 15-20 minutes. The movement of Kane off the line and then getting runners from deep, those central midfielders into those spaces alongside centre backs. That's been created from the max width. But sometimes the dynamics of a low block make that a lot more difficult. Also use Kane's movement from right to left as the ball was circulated to try and free up those spaces as well. So again, movement of the fullbacks on those inside channels, keeping 7-11 wide, but then also the centre backs having room to progress the ball, but then the spacing of Kane on the strong side to try and unbalance those centre back pairings. But in doing that, it makes it quite difficult because when the opponents are a little bit deeper, and you can see the England jerseys to the left, there's a lot of England jerseys underneath the ball, so the opponents have less players that they have to mark, so they can focus maybe on those 1 or 2 runs and they can read those passes because they're coming from a longer distance. What England also tried to do was sometimes to play into those central spaces into Bellingham and Curtis Jones, and when again the ball's going from right to left, they're always looking at unbalancing the Albania block, and then whenever Jones and Bellingham could receive, again the movement of Kane from right to left was important, trying to unlock that. Again, it's quite difficult to do that in a low block because the numbers underneath the ball create a certain amount of security for Albania. We'll take a quick break here, coaches. If you are looking for some 4-3-3 attacking patterns ideas, we have a special offer on our ebook, our PowerPoint presentation, 25 video breakdowns that you will get access to, different ideas and different pictures of the build. There's low builds where you're trying to unlock the spaces of 7s, 11s and deep runs from midfield that we're just talking about. We've got some of those ideas. We've also got ideas where there's central progressions. We've also got ideas where there's more movement from the outside and you're trying to take advantage of the 7s, 11s, the 2s and 3s relationships. And we've a special offer, a Modern Soccer Coach, with that 20% off using the code PATTERN. So go on the website modernsoccercoach.com/shop, use the code PATTERN and you'll get 20% off the full package. Alright, back to Thomas Tuchel in England, and let's look at the goal and how they scored the goal. Was this a deliberate pattern? Yeah, I think there was definitely something in this, that there was an intention to unlock a certain space. Really deliberate movement now from Lewis Skelly on the left as he moved high. Rashford moves inside, and now of course Albania will put that extra number back. But I think the deliberate movement now of Rashford to move out of the space as Bellingham and Rice are in possession actually opens up a passing lane for Lewis Skelly to run into. It's a great weight of a pass, it's a great run, it's a great finish. But this was the only time that they really moved the fullback that I could see in the first half and advanced that fullback into those attacking areas with complementary movement from the 7-11 on either side. Again, another great talking point. It only has to work once for it to be a successful pattern. It doesn't have to happen 20 times. Something else that England did, more interest in the second half as Albania adapted and got a bit more compact, was they moved Lewis Skelly on the inside channel and high, and then kept Rashford again folding on max width on the outsides. But this was a different variable in the second half because Albania adapted as well and they got more compact, so the same spaces that were available in the first half weren't necessarily there in the second half. Alright coaches, thanks so much for watching the breakdown. Again, if you want more ideas on attacking patterns in the final third or even in the build-up, please take advantage of the Modern Soccer Coach special offer. I'll also put it in the comments below that you can check out and get that link and get that special offer. The topic of patterns and tactical identity is a really interesting one. Like I said at the start of the show, we've got a podcast on that coming up very soon. A discussion/debate on whether we are getting the definition of tactical systems completely wrong. If tactical systems move towards straight up patterns, then all of a sudden creativity, decision making then moves towards the coach rather than moves towards the players. So it's always interesting, even in the England game that they won and they won comfortably, you're still looking for that spark, you're still looking for that creativity, but maybe that's traded off with control and patterns on the other side. So I do think patterns are really important in terms of establishing relationships and timings. Do I believe that patterns are the whole definition of a tactical identity? Absolutely not. I think there's a lot of things that go into that we should be talking about a little more. But it's always interesting when a new coach takes over. It's always interesting when a new coach describes a philosophy and talks about the craft of coaching. And that's what Thomas Tuchel is doing right now. So I am going to embrace that. I'm going to keep watching England. If I missed anything in the breakdown or something that you want to specifically look at, please put it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.